Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for Valentine's Day, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing 35 Dollar Tree Valentine's Day DIYs. All of these DIYs are going to be super quick and easy to recreate. This is going to be a compilation video of 35 of my favorite Valentine's Day DIYs over the last few years, and several of these do come with a free printable. All of the information and the links for those will be down in the video description box, as well as pinned in the comment section. We'll also have a list of all of the DIYs in today's video in the order that they appear. That way it's easier to just save this video for the future and come back and find whichever DIY you are looking for. I will also include links to anything mentioned or seen in today's video in the video description box as well as in the comments. And if you are new here, I would love to have you join us by subscribing. I have brand new Valentine's Day videos on the way very soon, and I don't want you to miss any of them. Let's jump right into the video. We are going to be using 3 of these wood crates, and these can be found in the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. These are Dollar Tree staples. They usually have these year round. And I'm just going to be hot gluing these to get started. Now you can definitely use wood glue. I'm going to leave some wood glue that I like to use linked down below in the video description box. You can also find links for everything that I'm going to be using in today's video. I'm just going to grab some matte white spray paint and give this one coat. You can choose any color you like. I just want it white as our background color because we are going to be adding some hearts later. Now I'm going to go ahead and just take 6 wood beads. Dollar Tree does sell wood beads. These are actually just ones that I already had on hand. I will leave them linked down below. I usually order them in large bags from Amazon. And I'm just hot gluing 6 to the bottom here, just like this. But again, you can absolutely use wood glue instead if you prefer that. Now for the fun part, we get to decorate our planter box. And for this step, I'm just going to be using these wood hearts from Dollar Tree. So these come in a larger pack. I'm down to my last few here, but they do have different sizes and 3 different colors. They have the pink, red, and natural. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue a red one in the center, 2 pink ones on the edge, and then finally some natural ones in the middle. There are so many different ways that you can decorate this floral box. Dollar Tree has lots of options. Now I'm going to grab one of these foam floral blocks, and you can find these by the flower area in Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut it into 3 sections here. That way I can just add them to the bottom because we will be adding some little flower picks and I need something to stick them into. Now you have an option whether you want to glue your floral block inside of your crate or not. I decided to, it's just a little bit sturdier that way. But if you want to switch out the florals for something else like candy, you might want to just leave the floral blocks loose. That way you can take them in and out. I decided to go with Dollar Tree's faux tulips for this DIY. I thought that the colors were just so perfect and super vibrant. I picked up 2 of the pink and 1 white. And to trim them down, I just use a pair of wire snips. Now our last step is just to add something to cover up those foam floral blocks. You can add some Spanish moss instead. I decided to go with this vase filler because I love that pop of color of the white, pink, and red. I ended up using 2 bags in total, and here's a closer look at how this one turned out. DIY has a major payoff for very little work. And this is one that you can definitely bring out year after year. And like I mentioned before, if you don't want to use the florals, this would be perfect as a candy dish. Or if you have a coffee bar or a hot cocoa station, you can use each tray for something different. Our second DIY is going to go perfectly with the first one, and it is even easier. So we're going to get started with this $5 tray from Dollar Tree's Dollar Plus area. Now, of course, this is a little bit more expensive than the regular items, but I feel like it's definitely worth it. It's beautiful, it's painted all around, and it's really nice quality. The only other thing you are going to need from Dollar Tree are these wood hearts. So these are the same wood hearts from that last video. And here you can kind of see some of the different sizes. Play around with the placement until you are happy with the pattern. And then once you are liking the way that it is looking, either hot glue them down, or again, you could just use some wood glue. My hot glue here does hold up pretty well though, so I do like to use it when I can because it is really convenient, but here's how it turned out. Now, since this is kind of raised up a little bit, it has that 3D effect, this probably wouldn't be the most practical tray to use, but it is a beautiful decor piece. And the other bonus is that it is really large. So if you have a big area that you need to fill up, or just to add this as an accent piece in the back, it is perfect. Dollar Tree has these paper heart doilies every year, and these are just so nostalgic for me. I used to craft all the time with these when I was a kid. In addition to the doilies, we're also going to need some string. I'm going to be using twine, but you can also use a colorful string just like this. Both of these are from Dollar Tree. So to get started, you want to just cut a piece of string a little bit longer than you want your finished banner to be. I make a banner or a garland. I like to just make a little loop knot on the edges. That way it is super easy to hang up. So that's just what I'm doing here. I just basically fold over the twine and then just curve it around and pull it through the loop. And it's super easy, but it does make things a lot easier when you are decorating. So now just pick one of the little holes on the side of the heart, bring your string through the back of your heart, and then just find that exact opposite hole on the other side. And then just add however many hearts to your banner as you like. When you pull your hearts apart from the stack, you will see that they are pretty much stuck together. I actually pulled mine 2 at a time. That way the paper would be a little bit thicker. Now you can stop here, or if you want to go one step further, I think it is so beautiful to add little pieces of ribbon in between each heart. And this is the chiffon ribbon that I found this year on Amazon. I will absolutely leave it linked down below. If you guys have seen my other videos this year, you will know that I love this ribbon. It was super inexpensive, but it's so beautiful, and it just really gives everything a romantic feel. If you are familiar with my channel, you might know exactly what I'm going to be doing with these, but if not, we are going to be creating some super easy no-sew pillows. So all you need for this DIY is a chair cover or 2. So for each pillow, you just need 1 chair cover, but they actually do have 2 different ones this year at Dollar Tree for Valentine's Day. They have the girl with the eyelashes, that's this one here, as well as a boy one. So of course I had to get one of each. And all you really need to do here is just hot glue one of your chair covers together. You do want to just leave a small opening on the bottom so you can fill it with polyfill, but that is it. They have already done all the work for you. It is just the perfect shape for a beautiful pillow that just takes minutes to create, but definitely has a really big wow factor. It's a nice size, it's vibrant, and of course it screams Valentine's Day. I am using my Gorilla Glue hot glue sticks for this, and they have a very strong hold. This fabric was not going anywhere, but if you prefer to sew, of course, you can absolutely sew these instead. So after I glued my first heart, I just let it kind of sit to the side. That way that glue could fully dry before I started to fill it. You do want to give it a couple minutes. That way when you are forcing it open to add the polyfill, you're not kind of pulling the glue as it is still drying. Once you're happy with how full your heart is, you can just go ahead and hot glue the bottom closed. Very quick. It only took me maybe a total of 6 minutes to make both of these, but they're so much fun. These are also great if you want to make some decor pillows for your front porch or a back patio, but you don't want to spend a lot of money because they're going to be out in the elements. These are inexpensive to make, and they just look so cute. Here's how they turned out, and I will say that they were a little bit wrinkly when they came out of the package, so all I did was just take my steamer, run it over the heart a few times, and those wrinkles came right out. So this frame from Dollar Tree is one of my favorites. You can usually find these either by the decor area at Dollar Tree or by their frames because the back actually pops out. They have a lot of different sayings, but they are all the same basic frame. But I love that you can pop out the back, which means you can customize it very easily. So on my blog, I'm going to have these 2 free printables. I will have a direct link for my blog post that has the free printable down below in the comments, as well as in this video description box. Once you click the link for the blog post, you want to go ahead and just scroll all the way to the bottom of the post, and you're going to see an area that says free printables. You can just click it and print it out. I did print mine out on cardstock. I think it kind of gives it a little bit better appearance, but regular printer paper will also work for this. And all I did was just cut it out and add it to my frame. Super, super simple. If you cannot find this exact frame, any 5x5 frame will work for this, or you could also just download the free printable and adjust the size a little bit. Since I had some leftover ribbon, I couldn't resist adding just a little bit to this DIY, so I just added a little mini bow up top. Here's a closer look at how this one turned out. It was a little bit hard to see the actual coloring of the free printable in the last clip, but this is it in daylight. It's just a really soft pink. So all you're really going to need for this DIY is this free printable that you can find on my blog. I'm going to leave the link for it in the video description box as well as in the comments. And then you will also need one of Dollar Tree's glass vases. While printing this out, you're going to head on over to my blog through that link, scroll down to the bottom, and you're going to see the link. You can just click it and print it at home, but you do want to just be sure to set it to print as far as you can to the border of your page. If you have an option for that on your printer, I believe mine said print to full scale. So you just want to make sure that you're printing it as large as possible. And it is going to be a little bit too tall, so we will trim it down. But I did want to show you that if you want to do this DIY a little bit differently, you can just trim it down and then insert it inside of your vase. I wanted to put mine on the outside, so I just trimmed mine down so it was the correct height, and I'm just going to be taping it in the back. That way, after Valentine's Day, I can just remove it. But I really like the look of it. It has like that nice matte look. I did print mine out on cardstock. That way, it would just be a little bit sturdier. And it just has the phrase, "I will love you forever and always," going around the vase. I was just really inspired by the look of vintage love notes. I thought it would just be so romantic for Valentine's Day. Now I'm going to add in some faux florals that I picked up at Joann Fabrics. And finally, just to finish it, this chiffon ribbon. If you guys saw my Valentine's Day haul, this will be very familiar to you. But I picked up this ribbon from Amazon. I'm going to leave it linked down below. It was a lot more inexpensive than other ones I had been seeing, and it instantly adds so much romance to anything you add it to. I love how delicate it looks, and it's just really beautiful. I cannot wait to use this all over my home for Valentine's Day. And with the whole love note theme in mind, I wanted to create one more free printable for you guys. So you're also going to see this one in that same blog post that's going to be linked down below in the video description box as well as in the comments. But it is just this set of little mini love quotes from Shakespeare. I'm a huge Shakespeare lover. So I just picked 4 really fun ones for Valentine's Day. And these are just great to kind of lay out anywhere. If you want to create a little vignette or a cloche, these are perfect to add in there. I am so excited for our next DIY. It is one that I have been planning for quite some time now. I wasn't really sure how it was going to turn out, but I was really happy with the final result. So to get started, we're going to need a clean and emptied 2-liter bottle and some fabric. So this fabric here you can find at Dollar Tree in their crafter square, and one of these is perfect for this craft. You only really need one of them. This is how big it is when you open it up. The fabric that you choose just needs to be large enough to comfortably wrap around our bottle here. I'm actually going to be using some fabric that I picked up at Joann Fabrics because I just love the look of this one, but the Dollar Tree one would be perfect as well. So to get started, I just have to trim our bottle a little bit. I'm going to be taking this little finger knife here and just trimming off the top part. When I'm cutting it, I am trying to cut the back part slightly higher than the front. We're going to grab our fabric, and when we put our bottle on the fabric, we want to make sure that we are leaving a few inches on the bottom. Next, I'm going to show you a really fun trick, but this part is optional. So take your hot glue, make a line that goes all the way to the top, and you're going to see it instantly almost collapses inward, especially towards the cut portion. This is just going to give the illusion of the top of your bottle being in the shape of a heart. It's going to be easier to see at the end. So now I just wanted to show you how big my piece of fabric was. I would say anywhere from 14 inches wide to around 17.5 to 18 inches long should be good for this project. You are just going to cover your bottle with that fabric, and all the extra fabric that is on top, you're going to go ahead and just start to tuck that into the center of your bottle. While gluing the fabric around the bottle, you don't want to use your hot glue. It's going to be too hot for that plastic. So you just want to use double-sided tape, even sticky dots, or a different form of glue. I did use hot glue for the bottom though because that plastic is thicker. I found these Cupid ornaments at Dollar Tree, and I figured that they would be perfect for this DIY. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut the string off of one of them and then grab more of that chiffon ribbon that I used in my first DIY. I'm going to hot glue it to the center of my ribbon and then just wrap it around my bottle and tie it into a knot in the back. Get really fancy here and add a beautiful bow, but I'm going to be adding some straps later, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a knot and trim off any extra ribbon. Now we have to get started on the arrows. I'm going to be using 6 of these wooden dowels from Dollar Tree, and I picked these up in their crafter square. So I'm also going to be using some feathers, and these are also from Dollar Tree, and these felt heart stickers. Instead of making 6 full arrows, we're actually just going to be creating the illusion of 6 full arrows. Only going to be making the top of 3 arrows and then the bottom of 3 arrows. I know it sounds a little strange, but I promise it will make sense. This is because we're going to be inserting a foam floral block into our little arrow quiver to keep everything in place, and this just makes it a lot easier. So to make the top of the arrows, you just want to take 2 matching stickers from those felt heart stickers and basically just stick them together on the end of one of your bamboo sticks. I made 2 white arrowheads and 1 pink arrowhead. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab some of those feathers, and I'm only going to be using the pink feathers from this bag. I was hoping I was going to have enough, and luckily I did. I ended up using about 2 feathers on each stick. So these are my other 3 wood sticks here, and I'm just using a little bit of hot glue to glue 2 feathers onto the back. Can go ahead and add Cupid's arrows to his quiver. So I'm going to be taking all 6 of these and actually inserting them into a small piece of foam floral block. This is also from Dollar Tree. I did this part off camera, but I'm doing my best here to try and show you what it looks like. Cut a small square off of the foam floral block, insert it into the bottom. That way all of my arrows could stay in the right spot. Now for the final step, I just wanted to add some straps to my bag, so I just used some of the Nautical rope from Dollar Tree and hot glued 2 straps in the back. And this is how it turned out. This DIY was so much fun. I wasn't really sure how it was going to turn out in the end, but I think it just looks so adorable, and I love having it styled next to my little Cupid pillow. I love that one. I'll be sure to link that down below too if you guys want to check that out. This next DIY is my favorite from this video, so we're going to need some fabric to get started. I'm going to be using these 2 fabric pieces from Dollar Tree. These are in their crafter square, but any fabric will work for this. Just laid out both pieces of fabric, and I did have to run my iron over them. They were super wrinkly, but they're looking a little bit better now. And we do have to cut out some hearts. So I just cut out this paper from some brown craft paper. They sell it in a roll at Dollar Tree. I usually have it on hand. It works good for making a quick template. And now I'm going to go ahead and just trace that onto my fabric, and then I'm going to go ahead and just pin that fabric in place. So to save time while I am cutting it out, that's why I just went ahead and doubled up my fabric, but you can just do this in layers of 1 or 2. I just wanted to do all 4 at once. I did have some leftover fabric, but I'm going to go ahead and just put that to the side because I will need that later. If you are constructing your heart, you're going to have some options. So you can hand sew these, use a sewing machine, or do what I'm doing here, which is using hot glue. You can also use fabric glue if you prefer. And this is just going to be a no-sew method, but you can absolutely sew these if you prefer. I'm just going around my whole heart outline and just gluing the 2 pieces together, but I am leaving a small area, that way I can fill my hearts with some poly pellets and polyfill. So when you are filling your hearts, you really don't need these poly pellets. I just wanted to use these because I wanted to give my beanbag hearts a little bit of weight. So these are perfect for that. I really do love these for those types of DIYs, but they're definitely not needed. I will leave these linked down below. I usually order them from Amazon, and they come in so great for DIYs. But I just like to add a little bit of that first, and then I add some polyfill. You do have some other options if you want to add some weight to your hearts. You can use little pebbles or even some glass marbles. Once my heart was completely filled, I just hot glued it closed. And now this next step is optional as well, but it does add a really fun touch to it. I just like to go around the edges and just rough them up a little bit. It's going to kind of give them that frayed look. You can kind of see here it's a little bit smoother, and then over here where I roughed it up, it has that kind of really fun frayed edge. Even though I cut out 6 hearts, I only ended up making 4. I'll probably make the other 2 at some other point. And now we're going to go ahead and customize these. This is the really fun part of this DIY. So I used my extra fabric just to cut out some rectangles. And we're going to just customize each heart with this set of stamps. So this set of stamps is actually from Michael's. I will leave them linked down below, but they do sell these at a lot of different craft stores. We're going to be using these acrylic blocks, an ink pen, pad and some individual letters. If you haven't done this before, it is so much fun. In each pack, you get a full set of uppercase and lowercase letters, as well as some different shapes. So I'm just going to go ahead and just pick out my letters for my first word, and I wanted to keep it really simple. We're just going to do the word love. So I went with an uppercase L and then a lowercase OVE. And you will see that there's almost a grid system here on the acrylic block, so it lets you line up your letters really easily. Letter just pulls off individually. That way you can completely customize any word or name. And there is no adhesive. It just sticks to the acrylic block while you're using it. And then when you're done, you can just take off the letters, wash them with soap and water, and they go right back into your set. I did just dip my stamp into my ink pad and just used it on a piece of paper first to make sure I was happy with the arrangement, and then I stamped my first piece of fabric. For my next phrase, I wanted to go with be mine, and you will see that I am missing the E off of mine since you do only get one of each letter in the pack. So I'm going to go ahead and just put be mine minus the second E, and then once I had that one stamped on, I went ahead and just added my second E at the bottom. Third heart, I ended up doing the word cute, and then I think my favorite one of all was the fourth one. I decided to do XOXO, but instead of the O, I went with the heart shape that came in the set, and I think it turned out so cute. This DIY was really so much fun, and this part here, customizing them with the different phrases, was my favorite. I'm definitely going to be making more of these to hand out as Valentine's Day gifts in little packs. I probably will sew them in the future, but the hot glue does work as well. But I thought it'd be fun to customize the front with my friends' names. Attach each saying to a heart. I just used hot glue since we were doing a no-sew DIY. But again, you could absolutely just sew these on instead. And here's a closer look at how these turned out. Little beanbag hearts are just so much fun, and since you can customize them, the possibilities are endless. Instead of adding a little name tag to each one, you could just pick up some really fun, vibrant fabric and create little conversation hearts instead. This next DIY is going to be very similar to the previous one in the way that we construct it, so I am going to go through it kind of quickly because it is the same idea, but just on a much larger scale. So for this DIY, I'm going to need one of these pink fleece blankets from Dollar Tree and a pack of their heart ribbon. This lace ribbon was one of my favorite finds from Dollar Tree this year. I think it is just absolutely stunning. We'll definitely be adding it to some upcoming DIYs as well. So to get started, we're going to go ahead and open up our blanket. And I'm actually just going to kind of fold it on a diagonal. I want one corner to reach all the way to the opposite end. It isn't a perfect square, so you're going to see it doesn't line up exactly correctly, but it will be okay. It does have kind of enough area that will overlap. After you have your fabric folded in half, you want to go ahead and just create a heart cutout out of paper. Just use my roll of craft paper from Dollar Tree for this. And just like in the previous craft, I'm going to go ahead, just pin it to my fabric and start to cut out my heart. We did have our fabric doubled up. We're going to have 2 heart cutouts. I'm going to go ahead and just remove the first one for now. And I'm going to go grab that lace. Use this lace to outline my heart. And this is completely up to you how you want to attach it to your pillow. You can absolutely sew it. That probably is the better choice, but I am going to be using my hot glue for this for a no-sew pillow. If you are going to be using hot glue, I definitely suggest working on a piece of parchment paper just to keep your work area nice and clean, and use some type of finger protectors. I have my pink ones on here just to save your fingers from that hot glue, because when you are pressing the lace into the fabric, the hot glue can seep out. Once I had my entire first heart outlined in that lace, I grabbed my second heart and started gluing it on top. And of course, I am going to leave a small section at the bottom open. That way I can just fill it with polyfill. Did want to point out though that this fabric blanket from Dollar Tree does work well for crafts, but it is really thin. So you might see it looks a little bit bumpy here from the polyfill. So if I could make a suggestion, I would say to maybe pick up some different fabric. Joann Fabrics has a really good alternative to this. You can just use their fleece fabric. It is inexpensive and would work great for this DIY. This next DIY is such an easy one and you hardly need anything for it. Grab a vase or a pitcher that you already have at home and some branches from outside. So I literally went right into my backyard and just found some really fun, interesting different branches and added them to my pitcher. Next, we're going to need those felt heart stickers from Dollar Tree. And just like in the first DIY, we're going to pick 2 hearts that match up and just sandwich them in between one of those stems. I added some hearts to the ends of a lot of the stems, but then I also did add some hearts to the center ones as well. And this DIY ended up costing me hardly anything since I already had these stickers from a previous DIY, and you get a ton of them in a pack. You get around 100, I believe. And the stems were just from my backyard, and the picture was one that I've had for years. I decided to just add some of that chiffon ribbon for a finishing touch. And that is it. It's so quick, so simple, and very, very cost effective, but it is a nice substantial size and definitely has that Valentine's Day feel to it. We're going to need one of these wood hearts from Dollar Tree and 3 wood beads. Dollar Tree does sell wood beads. You can either get them in the wood bead wreath and just take them off and use them that way. Sometimes they also do have packs of loose wood beads in the crafter square. These are just 3 that I had from a larger pack from Amazon. Now all we're going to do is just glue those 3 wood beads onto the heart using some wood glue. All the items that you see in today's video I will have linked down below in my video description box. Once I had all of my wood beads glued on, I just spray painted it white, but of course you can spray paint it any color you like. And that is how simple it is. You have this really adorable heart trivet tray that is perfect to display any smaller item for Valentine's Day. I really love the wood glue for this DIY because it is going to give you the best hold. But I just love how simple this one is. I'm definitely going to make a few more. I'm thinking maybe a pink one and maybe even a red one as well. For this next DIY, you're going to need some felt in any color of your choosing. At Dollar Tree, they actually do have this pack of 8 felt sheets, and you get a bunch of colors in here. I'm just going to be using the pink and white today, though. I did want to mention this felt is a little bit thinner, so you might want to pick up some felt from a craft store instead, but I think it works really well for this DIY. Let's start it. You're going to want to make a template. I used cardstock for mine, and you just want to cut out a rectangle and a triangle. So from the intro clip you might have seen, we are creating little felt valentines. And this is such an easy DIY. You can make a bunch of these very quickly. All you have to do is just use your template, cut out your triangle and your rectangle, hot glue the triangle on top, and then we're going to add a few decorations. You can really get creative with these and just add some fun embellishments and really make these over the top. I kept it simple, so I'm going to show you what I did. I'll be using these felt heart stickers from Dollar Tree. You get 3 different colors in here and some different sizes. I just picked the smallest heart, and I'm going to be using white for this Valentine here. They are self-adhesive, which is great. Just peel off that paper backing and stick it onto your envelope. You can leave it just like this, or if you want to take it one step further, grab a marker, one that has a fine tip to it, and just add some little dash marks. It's going to give the appearance that it just has a sewn edge. I think just looks so adorable. But if you prefer, you can definitely sew these by hand as well and add some details that way, or even use a sewing machine. Now this is how it turned out. I'm just going to make a few more in some alternating colors. That way we have a few of them. And these are great to decorate with. So if you just have a little area that's looking a little bit plain, make a few of these and add those in. It's going to look great. Or if you have a tiered tray, make a couple of these and just stick those in there as well. You can even make them a little bit smaller and add them to a jar. There are so many possibilities with this DIY. I just wanted to show you how quickly and how simple it is to create these. Next up is a really simple styling idea for this glass jar from Dollar Tree. So this is the much sought after gummy bear jar. I hope you guys were able to get your hands on it if you were looking for it. I know he has been hard to find, but he is so cute. So my first plan was actually to just spray paint it white, but I decided against it because that face was just too cute and I just really couldn't see covering it up, but you might want to spray paint yours white instead. I did want to use this as a vase though, so I do want to go ahead, take that cap off and cover up those marks on top. And the perfect way to do that is grab some ribbon. This ribbon in particular is my favorite that Dollar Tree had this year. It is so pretty. It's a super light pink, gorgeous quality, and it has laser cut hearts. It really is one of the best ribbons that they have for Valentine's Day. I just tied it around the top, added a bow in the front, and I'm going to be adding these faux florals from Joann's. It has a lot of faux florals to choose from, but this one was very inexpensive. I want to say it was around $2 or $3, and I do believe it was on sale. And I love the color of it. I think it really complements the bear jar. And that is it. It's just a really simple styling idea, but in case you picked up one of these bear jars and just wasn't sure what to use it for, it does make the perfect little mini vase for some faux florals. Actually hoping to pick up a few more of these bear jars, but I'm not sure how much luck I'm going to have. I have to go shopping this weekend, and I'm hoping I can find a few more. For our next DIY, I'm going to be using this wood block from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. It's actually referred to as a wood book, but if you can't find this exact one, any small piece of wood will work that is around this size. The edges were a little rough, so I'm just smoothing those out with my sanding block. Once it was nice and smooth, I went ahead and grabbed my spray paint. I'm just going to be using a matte white spray paint for this, but I think this would also be beautiful if you want to do a stain instead. I think that would be so pretty for this DIY. Most of my Valentine's Day decor is either pink or white, so that is why I decided to go for a white background. Now I'm going to go ahead and just grab these wood hearts from Dollar Tree. They come in a pack like this. You get 3 different colors: pink, natural, and red, and there are also a few different sizes in there. I went with 3 of the largest heart. I'm going to be doing 2 natural and 1 pink. Now all you have to do here is just hot glue 2 of your hearts, one on top, one on the bottom to the left side. You can just hot glue your third one on the right side, and that way you know where the exact middle is once you have the top and the bottom one already glued on. Now we're going to need some wood dowels. Dollar Tree has a few different sizes for this. Pick whichever one you like. I got the smaller ones here, so basically I'm just going to measure out where to trim them so they are not falling off of the wood block. And I actually just used a pair of snips for this, and I was able to cut through it. So now that I have my sizes ready, I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue those on. And then I actually was able just to use the piece that I had cut off of the wooden dowel and just trim that in half to create these little tiny guys. And this is going to be the back part of your arrow. If you have a cutting machine, this is a great project to customize. You can get a bigger piece of wood and just add a saying on the bottom. Maybe the words "be mine" or just "love" would be really cute for this one. And here's a closer look at how it turned out. I have mine styled with this Cupid here. This was a new find for me. You guys might remember this from my Valentine's Day haul. I'll be sure to link it down below. It actually came in a set of 8 different little characters that you can add to a tier tray. I'm so excited for this next DIY. It is so simple but really cute. So we're going to be using 2 of these plastic heart confetti trays from Dollar Tree and 1 of their glass candle holders. They also have this tray in red as well if you prefer that color. So we're going to need some glue here. You might want to use E6000. That's a really great permanent glue. I'm actually just going to be using my hot glue gun because I am using my Gorilla Hot Glue sticks, and you guys know I love those. They are super strong, and I found that it was a really good hold for this project, but you might prefer to use a stronger glue. So we're actually going to flip our candle holder upside down, glue it to our first heart, then add some more glue on top, and then add our second heart. The reason you want to flip the candle holder upside down is so you have more room in the bottom heart to add little items. So this is great to use as a little treat tray. You can add some candies to this, but I'm actually going to use mine on my nightstand to display my Valentine's Day jewelry. How cute is this one? It is so simple. Only takes minutes to create, and I just love the look of it. And some of you might recognize that love note vase in the background. That was actually a DIY from my last video. So if you want to see how to make that one, be sure to check out that video. Now let's move on to our final DIY, and it is going to be a set of free printables. So all you need for this one is these 3 frames from Dollar Tree, or frames that are similar to these sizes. So we're going to be doing an 8x10. This is a 3.5x5. I love this frame from Dollar Tree. It's really nice quality. And a 4x6, but the 4x6 is actually a little bit larger. We're going to be filling out the whole frame without the matting. Now these are the 3 free printables. These are going to be located on my blog, and I will have a direct link for that in this video description box as well as in the comments. You're going to click the link, go over to my blog, scroll down to the bottom of the blog post, and you're going to see an area that says free printables, and you will see a link that is actually pink. Click that and you can just print it at home. I like to print mine on cardstock because I do think it gives it a better appearance, but you can also just use regular printer paper. And something else I like to do is just frame my printables above the glass. That way it doesn't have the glare and it kind of looks a little bit more like an art print as opposed to a framed photo, but of course it is up to you, whatever you prefer. These are sized perfectly to fit into these exact frames or these sizes of frame, but you can always change the size up at home if you have Pages or Microsoft Word. You can always adjust the size that way. So once I had them all cut out, I just added them to my frames, and you have a very quick 2-minute DIY that looks so pretty. So you guys might remember I picked up this jumbo craft heart and I told you I had an idea for it. And the idea was actually inspired by this DIY that I did last year. These yarn hearts were one of your favorite DIYs last year. So many of you guys told me how much you loved this craft. So I had an idea this year when I saw this large foam heart that we could basically recreate this craft, but just supersize it this year and kind of make it 3D, since these foam hearts are a bit bigger than those flat hearts that I used last year. So all you have to do is just pick up one of these foam hearts from Dollar Tree and one of their balls of yarn. So this is the chenille yarn. It's that nice, really soft yarn. They have it in a few different colors. I picked it up in pink as well as white. And all you have to do for this craft is just hold a piece of the yarn in the center of the heart and then just start to wrap it around all over the place. You wrap it around a few times, it's going to hold that starting piece in place, so you don't need to glue it down or anything. And you just want to make sure that you're kind of just varying up the way you wrap it and going in all different directions just to give it more texture and just to kind of make it look a little bit more visually interesting. Want to just make sure that you're covering up all of that foam so none of it is visible. And it did end up taking the entire ball of yarn. So now to finish it off, I'm just taking that small strand and just tucking it underneath a few of those other ones and then trimming it off. That way I don't need to glue it, it will just stay in place from the pressure. And I loved that one so much that I decided to grab another foam heart and do the craft again with the white yarn this time. Now you might be wondering, how long does it take to wrap this entire heart with the full ball of yarn? And honestly, it's not that bad. I would say each one of these took around 10 minutes from start to finish, but if you're doing a bunch of them, just put on a fun Valentine's Day movie and it will be done before you know it. Here is my second one all done, and I'm just tucking that last piece under a few of those strands. And I actually ended up making 4 in total because I thought it would be so fun to kind of display them all in this bowl here. They just look so vibrant and it really does just put a smile on my face. But if you just want to make one, I think this is so cute to put out by a pillow. It kind of just adds a fun Valentine's Day accent to it. But either way, you can't go wrong with these really fun, adorable jumbo yarn hearts. This next one is another one of my favorites because you only need 3 items and some scissors. So all you want to do is start off with this heart frame from the Dollar Tree. Now this one's actually in their floral area, not in the Valentine's Day area, so be sure to check over there. But if you can't find it, this is another option. So this is just a Valentine's Day decoration. This one does have a plastic frame on the inside, so if you wanted to use it for this craft, you would just have to remove the tinsel, but I would really recommend the wire one here if you can find it, just because we're going to be kind of pulling and tugging a little bit, and the wire frame is just a bit sturdier. And the second item you are going to need is this pink fleece baby blanket from Dollar Tree. We're actually going to be needing 2 of these, and you can just find these in the baby area. They tend to have these all year long. So to get started, I'm just going to go ahead and take off the tag from my blanket and then just open it up all the way. And then I'm going to be folding it in half and then folding it one more time. So basically just folding it into quarters here. And now I'm going to take my scissors and just cut along the one edge because I just want to cut this in half. We're going to need to cut this blanket into long strips in order to tie them to our wreath frame, and I'm just going to be showing you the easiest way that I found to do that. So once I had it cut in half, I had 4 layers, and now I'm just going to take my scissors and start to cut all the way up to the top to make long strips. I'm cutting the strips so they are about 2 inches thick. Now, once I had these cut, you're going to see the bottom part here was kind of curved because it was the edge of the blanket. So I am going to go ahead and just trim those off because I do want these to have more of a rectangle shape. Wanted to show you an easier way to cut it. So I do have a self-healing mat here, so you do want to do it on a surface that is okay to be kind of cut on. But this is the round rotary cutter from Dollar Tree, and it's not as good as maybe some of the other ones, but it does cut through this fabric really nicely. I've never had any issue with it. Now I did have to kind of split my fabric in half, so that way I'm only cutting 2 strips at a time instead of 4, but this was a lot easier to work with than my scissors, and I did get more precise cuts. So if you're at Dollar Tree and you see it, you might want to pick it up in the crafter square. So now, since I did divide my fabric in half, that way I can cut it with the rotary cutter, I'm just going to go ahead and cut the rest of my strips. So here is one full blanket with all of the strips cut, and these ended up being about 2 inches wide by 15 inches long. Now it's okay if they're not all exactly the same. You're not going to be able to tell in the final heart. So as long as they're roughly the same size, you'll be good. So now to attach them to the heart, I'm going to start at the top here and just work on 1/2 first. And all you want to do is just put your fabric piece underneath your heart. And you will see here I am trimming the edges, and that's just because the blanket did have kind of a finishing blanket stitch running around the edge. You can cut it off if you want to or leave it. It's not that big of a deal. So I did go ahead and just trim it though. But now I'm just going to fold my fabric in half right around the heart, and then I'm going to put a knot. So you can kind of see it here. I'm going to leave it in normal speed. So after I just made sure it was even on both sides, I'm just going to loop it around and pull it through to just make a knot, and then just kind of pull it so it's nice and snug. And you just want to repeat those same steps for all of your fabric pieces. Now this one is really easy, but it does take a little bit of time, so this is another DIY that you might want to pop on a fun movie for. That's what I did here. I just had a fun movie playing in the background as I kind of sat here and just put on all of my fabric pieces. It didn't take too long though. I would say maybe 10 to 15 minutes. So here I was after I finished up with my first blanket. So all of my strips that I had cut before, this is them on the heart. It only gets you to half of a wreath. So all of these strips here is my second blanket that I just cut off camera. So now I'm going to go ahead and just attach all of those. So you do need both blankets to fill up the entire heart, but here it is. So it's only 3 items and you make this beautiful, amazing heart wreath. I think it is so pretty. This would look really cute hanging on a door, or I just have it displayed here. I will probably end up hanging it up, but I think it looks really sweet just like this as well. Next, I'm going to be sharing a really easy way to decorate these wood pieces. So you might see these at Dollar Tree and not really know what to do with them. They have a bunch of different plain ones. This is the love sign here. And to get started, I just like to give it a nice base coat of paint, and you can definitely paint it by hand, but I'm just going to be spray painting it because for me that is the easiest option, and I like how it just kind of gives it a nice even coat. I decided to go with a light pink color, but I think white and red would also work perfectly. So now we are ready to decorate. So I'm going to be using these wood hearts from Dollar Tree. You get 24 of them in a pack, and you have 3 different colors and multiple sizes. So all you want to do is just kind of take a bunch of them out of the pack, lay them around, and figure out what looks good to you. So I was pretty happy with this arrangement. So now I'm just going to go ahead with my hot glue gun and secure them all in place. Next, I took one of the larger pink hearts from the pack and one of the smaller natural ones, and I'm just going to be gluing them together because I wanted to add them to the center of my love sign. Now, I wanted to use fishing line so it can kind of look invisible, but I couldn't find any, so we're just going to be using some twine today. I had the 2 hearts glued together. I just flipped my sign over, and I'm going to be adding some hot glue to the back along with a small piece of twine. Now, I did hold it in place until it was dry, and you do want to pull it nice and tight, and then you can go ahead and just trim off the edges. Now you just want to add some hot glue to your heart and add it to the twine. Now, if you don't want this to kind of be mobile, if you don't want it to swing a little bit and move around, you can definitely just hot glue this to a toothpick and then hot glue it to the back as well. That way it wouldn't move and it would be pretty invisible if you glue it on the bottom. But I thought it was fun that it can kind of swing back and forth a little bit. And here's a closer look at how it turned out. This next DIY only takes 2 minutes and you only need 2 items. So the only thing you have to pick up from Dollar Tree are these glass frames. So these are the floating frames and I think that they are just so beautiful. And the only other thing you're going to need is this free printable. So you can find this on my blog. I'm going to leave it linked down below with these 4 different designs, and I'm going to show you just kind of a fun way to style them. But again, I'll leave this link down below and you can just head on over to my blog and print it out. I did decide to print it out on cardstock, but you can also just use regular paper as well. So this one here that says love is a light pink color in the background. So if you want to kind of cut the rest out, I would say this is a good one to cut out first because you can kind of use it as a guide to cut out the rest because it is the perfect size to fit into these floating frames. So that's what I did with the candy hearts as well as the love one. But for these two here, I had a different idea. So the one here just says I love you and it kind of looks like a love note. So I thought it would be fun to kind of just rip the edges of it, and then I just did the hearts to match. It would just give it a really fun vintage look, and it kind of looks like a handwritten love note. It just kind of had a romantic feel to it. So now I'm just going to open up these frames, and if you haven't seen them before, the back kickstand just pops right out, and then you can open up the tabs to take out the 2 glass pieces. Now my only issue with these frames is when you take off the paper insert, it is kind of taped pretty tightly with some double-sided tape to the glass, but it's okay. As long as you rip off that paper, you can kind of use it to your advantage because you can just re-stick your photo right to that sticky tape because it's still plenty sticky, trust me. Now you can just put on your second piece of glass and put it back into the frame, close up the tabs, and then you can just put the kickstand back in place. Idea would definitely work, and I think be even better if you have a handwritten love note from somebody special, or if you just wanted to write one to somebody. This is a really great way to display it. It looks so beautiful how it's just kind of suspended in the glass in the frame, and it just has such a romantic feel to it. So I did want to show you how both versions look though. So here's the first one with the kind of hand ripped love note and the hearts in the background, and then next I'm going to show you the 2 other photos that I kind of just cut out more traditionally. But either way, I think it looks really sweet, and these would also be great to pair with a couple's photo in black and white and then maybe a little handwritten love note. You guys might remember I told you I was so excited to find this Valentine's Day tree at Dollar Tree, but I hadn't found the ornaments. Well, I did end up finding them, thank goodness, and I just wanted to show you a really easy way to kind of style it with a mini DIY. So in the box photo, they do have these ornaments here, and these are the ones I found at Dollar Tree. However, I didn't find the little rose ones that are pictured in the photo, but they did have some other roses at Dollar Tree that you can definitely just buy and kind of make work for this one. But I only picked up the hearts. So they had them in the 3 different colors. They had the really kind of fuchsia pink, the traditional red, and then this light pink here. So when you pop it out of the box, you're going to have your tree and then this little stand here, so you can just pop those in place. Then you just want to put it on your table and start to pull down all of the branches. It was a little sparse, but don't worry, we're going to be filling it up with a lot of ornaments, so it will definitely look full at the end. For now, I'm just going to be adding these 2 packs of ornaments, and then we're going to be adding a few more items. So after I had my hearts on, I decided to grab this light pink ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I just made a bunch of bows to kind of go all throughout my tree. Next, I grabbed this heart ribbon and I cut a nice long piece, and I'm just going to wrap it around my tree to kind of use as garland. Also add a large bow up top to act as my tree topper. So now for our mini DIY, I'm starting with a piece of red felt, and I'm just going to be folding it in half and then half again so I have quarters. Now I'm going to take my scissors and just trim off the edge because I want to be left with more of a square. Now I'm going to take my scissors again and just go ahead and cut the edges so they have more of a scalloped detail. Now I'm going to open it up, and this is what I'm left with. Now I'm going to take my scissors and just go ahead and just cut on that line in the center until I get to the middle. Then I'll fold it in half one more time and cut a half circle. And this is just going to create a small area for the trunk of our tree. So now to kind of decorate our tree skirt, I'm just going to take some pink felt, fold it in half and cut out some hearts. This is a really simple design, but you can get really creative here and add a ton of embellishments. Maybe some roses or even some pearls would be really pretty. So whatever you can think of, I think would be so fun on this tree skirt. And then once you are happy with your design, you can just hot glue everything in place. And now our Valentine's Day tree has a mini tree skirt. I think I'm definitely going to go ahead and add some more embellishments. I think it looks fun just like this, but I'm thinking some pearls would be really cute. Gonna get started with this welcome heart sign from the Dollar Tree. So I'm just gonna be pulling out that ribbon from the back. It's just attached by some staples. They come out really easily. But I did want to mention, if you cannot find this exact sign, do not worry. You can even just cut out some hearts from cardboard or any sturdy material. As long as they are this size, it will definitely work for this DIY. And now I'm gonna do my best to try and remove that paper that is on the top of the hearts. The burlap material came off really easily. The paper, not so much. Some of the hearts it did, but some of them it just got stuck like this. So if this happens to you, do not worry. It is okay. It's not going to really matter in the end. And I also picked up some yarn from the Dollar Tree. So you're going to want to go with the thickest yarn you can find because it's definitely going to make this DIY a lot easier. This was the thickest yarn that they had, and I really love the color, so it was definitely a win-win. So now you just want to get your yarn and start to wrap it around your heart. So eventually it's just going to cover all of the cardboard material and you're just going to see the yarn heart. So to get a really pretty effect, you kind of just want to vary the way that you're wrapping it around the heart. So just switch up your direction every few turns and it's going to give you a really pretty result. So here's the heart when it was all done. And now I'm just going to trim off that extra yarn and just take that piece and carefully tuck it under some of the other strands. And then I'm just going to cut off that extra tail. And that is it. This is my wrapped yarn heart and I think it turned out really cute. It almost has a little bit of a plush effect to it and it's just really adorable. After my first one, I had an idea and I definitely do suggest this. I decided to just spray paint my hearts with this white spray paint. Any white spray paint will do. And basically it's just going to help it camouflage a lot better into that yarn, especially the white yarn. And if you have some of that paper stuck on the heart still, it's just going to help that blend a lot better. So here is the heart after I spray painted it. Nothing fancy, it's just going to help it really blend in a lot better. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that same technique. Just going to hold that yarn in the center of the heart and then start to wrap it around, varying up my directions every few wraps until all of that base heart is covered up and you're left with a completely covered yarn heart. This DIY is super simple, but it does take up a little bit of time while you're wrapping the heart, so I just put on a movie just to make the whole process a lot more enjoyable. Each ball of yarn from the Dollar Tree had enough to completely wrap 3 hearts. So you'll see here I have 3 pink and 3 white. But I did have a little bit left over of each color, not enough to cover one whole heart, but combined they did cover the 7th heart and it gave it this really cool effect that I think turned out really pretty. So this is another option if you want to combine your yarn colors. For this next DIY, I'm going to be making over this XOXO sign from the Dollar Tree. So you guys might remember that I did actually transform one of these in a previous video, but I really love this sign and I had another really fun idea for it. So to get started, I did just cut the string in the back because this sign does stand up on its own and that's how I'm going to be using it today. So to start off, I am going to be spray painting the top portion with one coat of this ultra matte white spray paint. You can also just hand paint it, but you guys know that I do love to spray paint whenever I can. And now, while that's drying, I'm going to get started on my stickers. So I picked up these stickers at the Dollar Tree, and I really loved the lip stickers in the center there. They actually do sell these already painted if you can find them. My Dollar Tree was sold out, so I did just get the natural ones, and I'm going to be painting them right now. I actually decided just to spray paint them just to make it really easy. So to do that, I'm just going to be transferring all 5 of those lip stickers onto the outer package of the stickers. That way I can just spray paint them really easily. So here is them when they were all painted. So here is my XOXO sign with that matte white spray paint. And then all 5 of my lip stickers, I just did one quick coat of red spray paint and it worked out really well. So you'll see on the back there is that glue dot sticker, and I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. The reason is because you can kind of see it peeking through the center of the lips, and I just think it kind of ruins the effect a little bit, so it peels off really easily. So now I'm just gonna kind of decide where I want to place them. So I thought it would be kind of cute just to have red lips all over this XOXO sign, like somebody just planted a whole bunch of kisses on it. So I'm just kind of getting them mapped out where I want them, and then once I was happy with the placement, I just secured them on with some hot glue. This whole DIY came together so quickly, and I already had the spray paint on hand, so for $2 I think that this sign looks so good. It feels like something you would pick up in a Home Goods, and it would definitely cost a lot more than $2 if you found it in one of those stores. I think that this one is just really cute, and you can of course switch up the colors to suit your color palette. Guys might remember this gift bag from my Dollar Tree Valentine's Day haul. I just fell in love with the print the second I saw it, so I kind of just wanted to preserve that and just turn it into an art print. So I picked up this 8x10 gold frame from the Dollar Tree, and it actually fits pretty well. You do have to do a little bit of trimming just to get the size just right, but it is super quick. So I'm just going to go ahead, take everything out except the glass, and I just kind of held my bag just to see about how much I would need to trim off of it. It really wasn't much, so I just took a little bit off the sides and the top, and then it was ready to be framed. So now I'm just going to put it right back in there, and then just be sure to put everything back into that frame. That way it has a nice snug fit, and just secure those tabs in the back, and that is it. This is such a quick one, but it is a really great hack to kind of just getting some really pretty art for just a few dollars. And for this one, you're going to need one of these foam cones from Dollar Tree, and you can find this one usually in the crafter square or the floral department. And then the next thing you're going to need is some of this cotton nautical rope. And for this size cone here, you're going to want to get the 11-foot rope. They have a few different sizes, but this size is going to work perfectly for this cone. So to get started, you just want to go ahead and take off that plastic wrapping on our foam cone here. And then I'm going to take off the little end pieces of the rope. So they're just taped closed, and you don't want to cut it off because you want as much rope as possible just to make sure you can cover the entire cone. So I'm going to be starting at the base here, and I'm just going to be hot gluing my rope to that base. And you won't need to hot glue the entire rope all the way up. You do want to hot glue the first 2 or 3 rows though, just to give it a nice solid base, and then you'll be able to wrap the rest of the rope up to the top and then only hot glue when you get all the way to finish it off right at the top of the cone. And when you're hot gluing this bottom portion, it might be helpful to work on a piece of parchment paper because the hot glue is not going to stick to it, and it will just keep your work area nice and neat. So after I hot glued those first 3 rope lines, now I'm just going to go ahead and wrap the rope all the way to the top. Now I am wrapping it to make sure I'm covering up all of the cone, but I'm not doing it too tight because I did want to make sure I would get enough rope, and I ended up doing this project 2 times and it worked both times with no issue whatsoever. I definitely had enough rope to cover the entire cone. So now I'm going to take this small decorative rope, and this one is also from Dollar Tree in the crafter square, and I'm just going to use this thin twine just to kind of go in between the rope strands, and this is just going to act as a garland, and this one is just pink and white, but you can definitely get red and white as well. They have a few different colors at Dollar Tree. Now to add some embellishments, I'm going to be taking these wood DIY stickers, and I'm also going to be using some of the pearls from Dollar Tree, and these can be found in their crafter square. So these stickers do have little sticky backs on them. At first I thought I could just stick them to the cone, but you're going to see later on I did end up having to hot glue them. They only stayed on for maybe a few minutes and then they started to pop off. So here you can see I'm just securing them in place with some hot glue. Hot glued some of the pearls on, and for a finishing touch I took the natural wood heart and just hot glued that to the top. And that is it for this simple DIY, but I think this one looks so beautiful. This definitely looks like something you would buy in a store, and I loved it so much I had to create 2 of them. This next DIY might be my favorite from this video. So you guys already know I love this sign. I showed it to you guys in my shop with me and my Dollar Tree haul, so I knew I was going to have to use it this year in a DIY, and I came up with a really fun and easy one. So in addition to the kissing booth sign from Dollar Tree, I also picked up 2 of these natural wood crates, and these can be found in the crafter square. We're going to be painting these and creating some faux floral boxes. I also picked up some of the craft sticks in the crafter square. This DIY, we're going to need 2 of them. This is going to be what holds up our kissing booth sign, and these are just great to always have on hand. I actually ran out anyway, so I did pick up a brand new pack. Now we're also going to be using these little ornaments here. So I found this pack of wood lips at Dollar Tree, and they have 3 different colors inside. So they have red, pink, and then they have these natural lips here. So here are the pink ones. I'm going to be using 3 of those to add to our sign, but I also wanted 3 lips in white to be painting these as well. And to paint everything, I'm just going to be using my favorite white matte spray paint. I just find that this is the easiest and quickest thing, but if you want to paint them by hand, of course you can use a chalk paint or acrylic paint. So after I gave everything one coat, I just let it dry completely, and here it is. And now we can get started assembling everything. So this is a really easy build. All you want to do is just take your first wood crate and just add some hot glue to the side, and then just add your second one. I am using the Gorilla Glue hot glue sticks here. You don't need to, but they are my absolute favorite. I'll be sure to link them down below. I just ordered them online. So after I glued the crates together, I added a popsicle stick to each side, and now I'm just going to be hot gluing my kissing booth sign on top of those popsicle sticks. We can add our wood lips. So you're going to notice there are 2 holes on top of the kissing booth sign where that string was. So I will be using 2 of the white lips to cover those up, and then the third one I'm just going to put on the bottom. And then for my pink lips, I'm just going to be adding those to the wood crates because they pop a little bit more against that white background. Now I'm going to be taking some of these foam floral blocks from Dollar Tree, and you can find these in the floral area, and I'm just going to be adding 2 of them to the bottom of my crates here. You can hot glue these in place, but I just decided to place mine in there. That way if I want to switch it out later on, it's really easy to remove. And now for my faux florals, I picked up some of the pink roses, white roses, and these little foam shiny hearts from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to be taking some wire cutters here to snip them all down. You can definitely use scissors for this part. It is a little bit harder, but with scissors, what I like to do is just kind of cut the plastic and then bend the wire inside back and forth until it breaks. But if you have wire cutters or wire snips, it's a little bit easier. Just arranging all of my florals into that foam block, and here's how it turned out. I love this DIY. I think it is so much fun. It's a really great pop of color. I love that spinning piece in the center, and the great thing is if you want to do this in red and white, you can absolutely do that because they do have a red kissing booth sign as well. Next up is a 2-minute DIY. It would not be a DIY video from me if there was not at least 1 free printable, or in this case 2. So I created these free printables for you guys. You can find them on my blog. I'm going to leave the link for that down below in the video description box. So you can just head over to my blog and you will scroll all the way to the bottom and you will see the links to print these out. Now I did print these out on cardstock, but you can also use regular paper. I just think cardstock looks a little bit nicer and it's nice and sturdy. And these are sized perfectly for this frame from Dollar Tree. But on my website, you can also just download these and resize them to any size you need. When you print these out, you will see that there is a faint black line, and you can go ahead and just cut right on that line. And now to frame these, I do like to frame them above the glass. That way it just avoids the glare and it looks more like an art print than a framed photo. So I just went ahead and taped it to the glass, and now I'm going to go ahead and just put it right back into that frame, and that is it. Like I said, this is a 2-minute DIY. It could not get easier, but it is a fun and inexpensive way just to add a pop of holiday decor. This next one is so easy, it's hard to call it a DIY, it's more just a styling tip. So if you saw this beautiful wood bead heart at Dollar Tree, but you weren't really sure what to do with it, I'm going to show you a really easy way to style it for Valentine's Day. One can be found in the Valentine's Day area, but I do know that it is selling out really quickly, so I wanted to show you something else you can use from Dollar Tree. So Dollar Tree does have this round one as well, but this one is located in the crafter square. And I did test it out. You can easily bend it. I didn't want to bend this one out of shape too much because I actually am going to be using this one in a spring DIY, but it can be done. So if you can find the heart one, go ahead and pick up the round one from the crafter square and just bend it into shape. Now, in addition to the heart, I did pick up these two different ribbons from Dollar Tree, but both of these I actually found in the faux floral area. And the first one is just a really sheer light pink, and the second one is this lace ribbon, but it does have a crochet feel to it. And all I did was just cut two extra long pieces, and I'm just going to be tying it on one end here, and that way when I kind of just lay it on its flat side, it just has a really pretty draping effect, and it just comes down the side. And I think that this one styles so nicely with those free printables. I was so excited when I found these flour sack towels at Dollar Tree this year, and I knew immediately what I wanted to do with them. So we are going to be creating some really easy pillows from these towels here. It is so inexpensive, but the print is beautiful and these colors are so vibrant. So to get started, I'm just going to unfold my towel and then just fold it in half. I do like to remove the tag on the inside, but that is completely optional. But it does rip out pretty easily. So the first thing I'm going to do once I have it folded in half is just take my iron and make sure I flatten those lines out just to make sure everything is as smooth as possible. Now I'm actually going to reverse fold it so that the correct image is facing each other, because we are going to be sewing these and I want to make sure to just sew it inside out first. That way it has a nice and finished edge. And I will be sewing all four sides, even the top, even though it is attached already, because I want it to match the other sides, but I will be leaving a small 4-inch gap on the bottom just to flip it right side out and fill it with polyfill. So right here you can say am stitching the top portion, but I did not leave too much of a seam allowance since it is already connected. It's basically just to make it match the other sides. So now I'm just going to go ahead and flip it right side out. And then once I did do this, I noticed that it did get a little wrinkled up. So I did actually just take my iron out one more time because I wanted to make sure it was pressed nice and crisp before I stuffed it with polyfill. You can also sew this by hand or just use a no-sew pillow making method and use hot glue to close the ends. You guys know I have done that a bunch of times on this channel, and I love to do a no-sew pillow as well. So now I just have this small gap here, and I am going to just sew that closed by hand, and then we will be done with these pillows. I think that these are so fun. The gnome print might be my favorite because I love those pops of color on the side. The stripes are just so cute, but I do love this bicycle as well. I think it's really. So I picked up these two pickup trucks at Dollar Tree in the Crafter's Square. So these ones are not just for Valentine's Day. They usually have these ones all year long, so hopefully they should be pretty easy to find. And now I just want to get started by spray painting them, and I'm going to be using this matte white spray paint. You can use any color you like, but I just thought white would be a nice backdrop for the hearts that we're going to be adding to the front. So here it is after it dried. I just did one coat on the front and on the back, and now I'm going to be taking this foam block here, and this is in the floral department at Dollar Tree, and we just have to trim this down a little bit. To cut through the foam block, I'm actually using the plastic pool noodle knife that you can find in the Crafter's Square at Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to be cutting off about 1 inch. And now I just want to trim this again, and I would say here I'm trimming off about 1/3, and I'm going to be left with a rectangle about this size. So now what I have to do is hot glue it to one of my pickup trucks, and then we're going to be adding our second pickup truck on top of it. So I did add a little bit of hot glue to my foam and my truck, and you do want to hold this in place for a few seconds until it sets. Now I'm just going to be adding some more hot glue on top of that foam and then adding on my second truck. When you do this step though, you do want to work quickly. So after you put your second pickup truck on top, you want to stand it up before it has time to set. That way you can make sure everything is nice and even and all 4 tires are touching the ground. Now to turn this into a love truck, I'm going to be hot gluing some of these wood hearts onto the front of my truck. So these ones come in a pack from Dollar Tree. You get 3 different colors and a bunch in a pack. I've been using these non-stop for all of my crafts this season. So once I was happy with the arrangement, I just went ahead and secured everything down with some hot glue. Next, you just want to pick out your favorite faux florals from Dollar Tree. So I have a bunch of different ones here. You don't need a lot for this. You can just do one color and pick up one bunch of flowers. You can pretty much get away with just using 3 flowers if you just want to make a row of them in the back of your truck, or you can kind of add a few more to make it super full. Last step, I'm just going to add some of these wooden picks to the back of the truck. So they have gold, pink, and red in the pack, and I just picked out some red and pink ones, and I did just snap off the bottom just so it wouldn't be too long, and then I'm just inserting it into that foam floral block. Here's how it turned out. This DIY is so quick and easy, but I just love the end result, and the best part is you can customize this however you like, make it your own, paint it whatever color is your favorite to fit your decor style. For our next DIY, we're going to be giving this barn a little bit of a makeover. So to get started, I just want to very carefully peel up the top portion of the barn. So the little roof here, it does pop off pretty easily, but I want to make sure that I don't break it because I will be using it later on. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this to the side for now. Now, if you have any loose paper, just go ahead and peel it off. You don't have to take everything off. We're going to be covering it up, but we just want to make sure we get any loose pieces. So now you're going to need one of my free printables, and I created 3 different ones for this DIY. So this is my blog here. I'm going to leave it linked down below in the video description box. So when you head over to my blog, you just want to scroll all the way down to the bottom and click on free printables. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the 3 different designs for this DIY. The first one, it just says P.S. I love you. The second one has the word love with an arrow going through it. And the third design is just a pink background with a lot of white hearts. So any of those will work for this DIY. So you can just go ahead and print out your favorite one. And I do suggest printing it out on cardstock. That way it covers up the image on the front of the barn, and it's just going to be a little bit sturdier. I'm going to be using the P.S. I love you one, so I went ahead, printed that out on cardstock, and now I'm just going to place my barn over the image and just trace it out with pencil. That way I can go ahead and just cut out my barn. When you're cutting this out, don't worry too much about the top part, because we're going to be covering that up with that wood piece for the roof, but just make sure the sides are nice and even. My favorite way to attach the cardstock to the barn is just using a glue stick. I find that this gives it a nice smooth surface. You just want to make sure you get glue on all of those edges and then just smooth it down. But it really does just kind of give it a nice even appearance. Sometimes when you work with Mod Podge, it wrinkles it a little bit, so I like to use a glue stick for crafts like this. And now I'm going to go ahead and put some hot glue onto that barn piece and add it back on top. Now you might notice that there is a small blank area on the bottom, and I did leave that open. That way we can add some embellishments. So I'm going to be adding more of those wood hearts from Dollar Tree. I just wanted to go with one natural one here, but I think the pink ones would also look great. And you can even add 3 different ones in a row, or maybe play around with some different sizes, but this is the one I went with here. Here is a closer look at how mine turned out, but the other great thing about this DIY is you can print out any image you like on cardstock, so even if you have a photo you want to add in here, it's a really fun DIY that you can customize any way you like. For our next DIY, I'm going to be using some of these wood hearts from Dollar Tree, as well as one of their round wood bead wreaths. So this is not the Valentine's Day one, this is just the regular crafter square one. You can find this one all year long at Dollar Tree, and they actually do have the heart version for Valentine's Day, but this one is a little bit easier to find, and since we're just going to be using the beads, it doesn't matter which shape you get. The first step of this DIY is going to be painting everything. So I picked out 3 of my hearts, and I'm just going to share with you the colors I'm going to be using today for painting. So the first is this candy pink spray paint. I'm also going to be using a matte white spray paint, as well as this apple red spray paint. I'm going to be painting the beads as well as the wood heart. So the first step is just to get the beads off of the wreath, and the easiest way to do this is just to get a pair of wire snips and just go ahead and cut that center wire. Now you're going to have all of your beads, and I did count out 45 beads. Want to paint 15 beads in each color. Now I'm just going to go ahead and prep everything for painting, and this is actually how I like to paint my wood beads. It is, in my opinion, the easiest and best way to paint wood beads. I like to add my beads to a metal wire. You can actually just reuse the wire that the beads come on, the wreath wire. All you have to do is just trim it down and straighten it out. And then I take a small cardboard box and I just cut some notches in the side, and then I just insert that wire into the notch. That way I can turn it while I'm spray painting it and get even coverage. I actually have a short video on this exact process that I will leave linked down below. So I went ahead and spray painted 1 heart white, 1 pink, and 1 red, as well as 15 beads white, 15 beads red, and 15 beads pink. So now everything is dry and we are ready to get started with our wood bead garland. And I'm going to be using some twine from Dollar Tree for this. So to get started though, I did want to make my tassel, that way we can have all of our parts and then assemble them all at once. So to make a tassel, it is super easy. You just want to wrap a bunch of twine around your 4 fingers and then just trim off a smaller piece of twine and insert it into that loop. Then I tie a knot on top. Now this next step is optional, but I think it gives it a nice touch for Valentine's Day. I'm just going to be using some of this lace ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to be putting it right over the top of my tassel. Once I have everything smoothed down, I'm going to go ahead and take my twine again and just wrap some twine right around the head of the tassel to bind everything together. Once it is secure, you can go ahead, trim it off, and then just tie that into a knot and trim those extra ends. Now that everything is bound together, you want to go ahead and just trim those bottom loops so it starts to look more like a tassel. And now the last step is just pulling everything straight and even and making sure that the bottom is neat. So I like to just give everything an even trim. Now everything is prepped so we can start assembling our wood bead garland. I'm going to be taking my 3 hearts and just attaching them to each other. I wanted to give it the look of kind of the hearts being stacked on one another. To attach them, I'm just going to be using hot glue. So now I can get my twine, and I want to cut a piece of twine that's going to be a little bit longer than my wood bead garland. It's always better to have it a little bit longer than too short and then have to go back and redo it. So once I had my twine cut, I just tied one end to my hearts, and now I can get started with that same pattern with my beads. So I'm going to be doing red, white, and pink until I'm all out of beads. And this step here really is so helpful. Do yourself a favor and put some tape on the end of your twine. Every time I start off not putting tape on, and then after a bead or two, I get so frustrated with the twine starting to fray that I always have to grab my tape. So just save yourself the aggravation and start with a piece of tape on the end. It makes the whole process so much easier. Once all of my beads were on my twine, I took my tassel and I just put the twine through the head of the tassel, and now all I'm going to be doing is just knotting it together here, but you just want to pull it as tight as possible. That way you don't have any gaps in your would-be garland. A closer look at how it turned out. I was originally just going to be using white and pink for this DIY because those are 2 of my favorite colors, but I decided to add in the red for a fun pop of color. For our next DIY, we're actually going to be using those same wood hearts from Dollar Tree. So you do get 8 in a pack. We're going to be creating a garland. And for my garland, it's not too long, the area where I have to hang it. So I'm only going to be using 5 of my hearts, and I'm going to save the other 3 for a different DIY. So 2 of these I am going to be spray painting white, so I want to get started on that so they have time to dry. And I'm just going to be using that same matte white spray paint that I used before. And for the other 3 hearts, I'm actually going to be wrapping them in yarn. So this is the pink chenille yarn from Dollar Tree, and this is very similar to the craft that we did in our last video. This craft here, you guys absolutely loved, and I'm so happy because I loved it too. So it was so great to hear all of the positive feedback. So if you saw that video, you already know the process, but just in case you didn't, all you have to do is just take your yarn, hold a piece in the center of the heart, and then just start to wrap that yarn around the heart. You want to wrap it around the starting piece a few times just to hold it in place. And when you get to the end, you can just go ahead and trim it off, and then take the end and just tuck it under a few pieces of yarn to hold it in place. And now I'm going to repeat that same process for my other 2 hearts. So here's everything all done and ready to go. So now we can go ahead and just take our twine and start to make our garland. So before we do that though, we do have to attach the little ties that come with the hearts onto them. And for these ones here, the ones that we just painted, it's super easy. They have a pre-drilled hole, so you can just go ahead and add on your little tie. For these ones here, it's a little bit trickier, but it is still pretty easy to just carefully slide that small tie underneath a few pieces of yarn and then just pull it up to the top and tie it into a knot. Next, cut your twine for however long you want your garland to be. And I did just want to show you, I like to make loops on the end of my garland whenever I make one. And I did get a request last time I showed this to do it a little bit slower so you guys can see it in detail. So all I do is just take the end of my twine and I basically fold it over about 2 inches, make a loop, and then kind of just twist it around and pull it through into a knot. That way it creates this nice little loop on top, and that way it just makes it so much easier when you want to hang it up. And now I'm just going to add my hearts onto my twine. The final step is just going to be taking that same lace ribbon from Dollar Tree that I showed you guys before and just cutting it into small pieces and tying it to a bow in between each one of the hearts. I like to leave the bow a little bit looser, that way I can easily slide it back and forth, so when I hang up my garland I can make sure everything is in the right spot. And here is how it turned out, and if you guys happen to make the yarn hearts from the last video, this would be absolutely perfect to match them. This last DIY is something that is totally different from what I usually make, but it is a lot of fun. So you might remember from my shop with me and my haul video that I shared with you guys these Dollar Tree flamingos, and I told you I don't usually go for the tinsel decor, but there was just something about these, and I told you I had to pick them up, so of course I had to come up with an easy DIY for them. To get started, I'm using 2 of these wood dowels from Dollar Tree, and you can find these in the crafter square, and I'm just going to be hot gluing them to the legs of one of my flamingos here. So I do want to make sure though that I am leaving about 1.5 to 2 inches on the bottom of that foot with the dowel peeking out, because we will be adding this to a foam floral block. And once I had the 2 dowels hot glued to my first sign, I went ahead and hot glued my second flamingo sign on top of that. And now I'm just adding a little bit of hot glue to just hold the head together. And this is just going to make it so your sign is finished all the way around. Next, I'm going to be taking 2 of these wood pieces from Dollar Tree. These are also in their crafter square. And I'm just going to be using some hot glue to attach them together. And this is going to be the base of our flamingo centerpiece. So we do have to add some foam floral block though, because we will be turning this kind of bottom portion into a floral centerpiece, and we want something that we can stick the flowers into. So this is that pool noodle knife that I was telling you guys that I used before, and you can find this in the crafter square at Dollar Tree, and I'm assuming it's great for pool noodles. I have not tried it on that yet, but it does work for a bunch of crafts, and it's nice to kind of have a crafting knife. That way you don't have to use your real kitchen knife for these kind of crafts. So I have 2 different floral blocks here, and that's only because that's just what I had on hand. If I could go back and do it, I would just use this foam floral block to the left. I actually prefer the texture of that one better, but either one will work. So all you want to do is just trim them down so they fit on your wood base. So now that we have everything prepped, we can go ahead and cut our flowers down and then just push them into that foam floral block. I just picked out a bunch of the faux roses from Dollar Tree in all different shades of pink and white. There was just something so endearing about the flamingo sign when I saw it at Dollar Tree that I knew I could not leave it on the shelf. I definitely wanted to use it in one of our DIYs this year. So I'm pretty much done, but I did notice this little loop on top, so I used my same wire cutters that I used for my flowers just to go ahead and snip it off, and that is it for this DIY. Like I said, it's something totally different, but this is really fun. And there you have it, 35 super quick and easy Dollar Tree Valentine's Day DIYs. I hope you guys are just as excited for Valentine's Day as I am. I just think it is such a fun holiday, and I really do love to go all out for it. So definitely hit that subscribe button, because I am planning on a bunch of Valentine's Day videos this year. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a thumbs up and don't forget to save it. That way you can always come back anytime you need some Valentine's Day inspiration. To subscribe to my channel, you can just click on my picture right here. Thank you so much for watching.